So the intention of this process is first to essentially count and get an idea of who our homeless community is and what their challenges are in retaining housing. There are individuals in our community who are employed who don't have anywhere to live because they can't find affordable housing. So that's kind of a misconception that homeless people are unemployed. That's not true. Some may be. They may need support with addictions. They may need support. They might be fleeing violence. They might have a job or have difficulty getting to it, but they've needed to move because they were fleeing some very difficult situation. So the enumeration for us is a very important starting point for us to understand our population and then start gearing our services towards them. Whether it's they can't find affordable housing and they need, but they're employed, they just need a little extra money to help them pay for that housing. That's what we're trying to determine right now.
These core questions that you're going to ask these people, are they uniform across the province? Is that okay? Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? No? Okay. Ladies, thank you for coming forward. Good luck with your survey, and hopefully we'll get some good numbers, feedback. Thank you. We'll move on to, yep, it's 3 o'clock right on, so we'll move over to the deputations. We have a deputation from Brook and West Shaw with respect to a faulty sewage pipe on county property. It's page 19 of your agenda package. Would Brook and West Shaw please come to the podium? There's a button there that you push on the right-hand side, and it'll put the microphone system on. Yep, you got it. You have 10 minutes, and I will notify you at 9 minutes that you have 1 minute left. Thanks.
Thanks. So we are here. There's handouts. Everything I'm going to read is in the handout. I'm just going to start with the letter that we wrote in, just kind of describing why we're here. So on February 2nd, around 11 p.m., our sewer backed up into the basement. We called the after hours number first to tell them we had the backup. They told us to call the plumber because they don't handle this anymore. We'd called a local plumber, JVK, to come out the next day, where they rotted it to break up the blockage that they found. So on February 5th, my husband called the town to tell them that the blockage was on county property. The video, we're going to show a video, but the video actually shows our pipes and then transitions into the county pipes. So the blockage was on the county property. Theo, excuse my last name, Carragus, explained that we needed to prove to the county that it was on their property before anyone looked at it. February 9th, JVK Plumbing put a camera down our pipes to record what was requested. He also did the locates of the problem area. The footage and report was taken to Delhi by myself, where I had given it to a gentleman to look at. The next day I received a call explaining that the issue was a grease buildup and that we just needed to get it cleaned and recamered. They actually told me who to call. We called Clear Lines to come out, flush our pipes. He then recamered it. He was at our house from 8:30 to about 11 trying to clear the pipes. He was surprised at the amount of buildup in such a new house, so it's 5 years old. After he cleaned up the pipes as well as he could, the camera showed that there was a significant belly on the county's side, so when the county's piped. He marked it out on the road with a locator where the belly started and where it ended. He gave us the video and the report, which was then handed over to Stephanie Davis on February 16th. She told us that the county would review it and let us know what would happen next. A gentleman, Jeff, emailed my husband that the county would send their own people to do their own camera on February 22nd. 2 operators came out, got video of our pipes, and then took the video for review. The video shows the belly is approximately 15 feet long, all which is on the county property. So just without reading further, the situation that we have is that the belly is on the county property, and we're just here basically trying to find out what we can do about it and how to fix it. I've emailed a lot of people, a lot of conversations back and forth about what to do, leading us up to here. We have cleaned our pipes. The one time, Clearline said that he can't get it any clean due to the belly in the pipes. So we can show the video
If we could start the video, yeah, the beginning would be good.
So the white is
It's our pipe.
is our pipe, so on our property, and then you'll notice where it goes green, which is the county pipes and county property.
And this video was done by the county. Report. Oh, sorry.
Microphone. Okay.
They were writing a report while they were cameraing, so that's why it kind of pauses here and there. But we can fast forward it if need be. We're running low on time to 2:44. But this is where the county's property starts right here. And the dip starts at 60 feet out from my cleanout. And with having the dip in the pipe, we've lost our minimum velocity for cleaning, for taking solids away, because it washes down to 60 feet and then stops with a 16-foot. According to the county report, they measured it to be 16 feet. So it stops, and basically you can see the camera entering right now, pushing all the solids, basically right to the end where it collects to the main on the road. So.
Is there more to come yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll see it right, this is where I think they're just getting ready to go into the belly. So they need to push through basically 16 feet of this, toilet paper, solids, whatever else. Now, from the professionals I've talked to, and they've reviewed this, they agree that this is nothing that just happened overnight. This has probably been here since we built our house. And they figure that we're probably, with the dip in there, that we probably went above the dip. So it was full of water, backed right up, hence why you have all the buildup on the ceiling. Because there should be nothing on a ceiling of a pipe unless you have that sitting in there for years and months. Due to food, grease, soaps buildup, all that stuff has led us to this. So you can see that when he's pushing it, it comes back into the pipe. It's not washing down. And when they go down inside, you can see to the main is fine, right here when it drops down. So that's pretty much it. You can stop the video there. So,
Okay, are you ready for questions?
yes.
Good. Okay, Councillor Black?
So, well, clearly, I mean, I was going to ask you, is it on county property? And clearly, you state that, and the video looks like it is. But is this just one line? There's no other houses coming into this? It goes from your place straight out, and so it can't be somebody else's build-up? It's just all yours and the dip? Oh, okay, thanks.
Okay, Wells, then Oliver. Your microphone?
Thank you very much for your deputation. You've done very well. What exactly is it that you were requesting us to do?
To fix the pipe.
Fix the pipe.
Yes.
And have you talked to staff about this, and what was their response?
They would not fix it.
And did they give you a reason why they would not?
They said that the dip is not the problem, and it doesn't cause a problem. But everything according to building code, this is not up to code. According to Norfolk Building Code, I have it here along with Ontario Building Code, I do not have the slope that's needed to wash away solids. I have zero slope when it hits 60 feet. So that is just going to be an ongoing problem from here on out. And the only way to rectify it would be to fix it.
And you have lived in this house for 5 years and it's just
It will-
backing up now?
It will be 6 years in May. Yes, it's just backing up now.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I am going to go to Ms. Robinson. She may be able to help us here.
Through the chairman to council, staff have spoken with them. What we have advised them, as you can see evidenced in the video, there's significant grease buildup in the line. It's very hard to tell what is actually, there is no doubt there is some sort of a dip in the line. There is two different kinds of dips that exist in a sanitary one. One is of significance, one is not of significance. Most sanitary laterals will have a minor dip in it at some point. It's just a result of the construction. We fully concur that a minor dip doesn't really cause a problem. A dip of significance absolutely will cause a problem. And if it is on county property, we most certainly do go and clean it out. We are unable to determine, because of the amount of fat you could see that and greases that were built up, we're unable to determine from the video what is actually blocking it and if the dip is significant or not significant. We offered that if the applicants had the line completely and totally cleared, that we would go back in and video it at our cost, and that if we determine it to be significant once the lines have been cleared, then we would absolutely go in and we would remediate it. Their other option was, if they wish to hire a contractor, they could certainly hire a contractor, excavate the area. If the dip is determined to be significant, the county would oversee and cover the cost of all of the repair work that was being undertaken. Or if they do expose all of the things and the dip is not significant, then the applicants would be responsible for the costs of those. So we have offered through all of the different scenarios to work with them. But they have to understand that if the dip is, because the line isn't clear, we can't evaluate whether it's a significant dip or a minor dip. If we went, there's no way that this municipality could afford to go through and repair every single minor dip in a sanitary sewer, because they're just not significant and they don't typically cause a problem. With the amount of grease, we can't actually determine whether or not the dip is significant. If the dip is significant, of course, in accordance with county procedure, we would absolutely be covering those costs. And that was explained to the residents. They indicated that they wish to come and speak to council, and this is where we are today.
Thank you. Councillor Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Ms. Robinson has kind of partially answered my question. It is clear from the video that the pipe dips. There is a low spot. It's 3/4 or 100% full of water at that low spot, and that is, you've suggested by the green pipe is on county property. I understand that. I guess where I'm struggling now is what constitutes minor versus a significant dip. And have you been given that definition by staff at this point?
No, the definition I use is the building code. And the building code says you cannot have a dip. It doesn't pass.
Okay.
So it's 2% slope or 1/4 inch per foot. And once I hit 60 feet, I have none of those. I go uphill.
Yeah.
So and I've talked to other professionals and plumbers, whoever, and as you see in your handouts, they've written reports regarding that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Then I'll ask another question of Lee, but I can wait until after you're finished other speakers.
I see she wants to speak again, so
Okay.
maybe I'll let her.
Through the chairman to council, I just wanted to correct something that the deputation had just said. He indicated that it doesn't comply with the building code. The building code is not applicable on county property for sanitary laterals. I believe that he is using the incorrect terminology. I believe what he's saying is county design standards would be the correct thing. He is 100% correct that it does not, that if that dip is of significance, then it would not comply with county standards. But I just wanted everybody to be aware it's not actually a building code issue. Regardless of what we're calling it, it does not comply if that's that dip. The trouble that we're facing with the video is that you can't tell from a camera what the percent grade is on a sewer lateral. And if there is a large deposit of fat on the bottom of that pipe, that will give that underwater effect that we saw in the video. Once it's cleared, we're able to determine whether or not it's of significance. If The dip that we're seeing is not, that we saw in this video, is not being caused by a blockage of fat on the bottom of the pipe. That dip is definitely significant and would be something that the county would repair, so that everybody's clear of the expectations.
Okay, did you have another question, Councillor? Okay. Moving on to Councillor Brunton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you to the Shaw Group. I apologize, where is Driftwood?
We're behind Holy Trinity High School.
Oh, that's fairly new
Yep.
then, yeah.
Yep.
And that's is that the main street behind, that comes right?
Yes.
Okay. And, do you know where the main is on that? Like, is it, like, looking at the dimensions there, you're quite a ways out from the main. Is it on one side or down the middle of the street? Do you know where the main sewer line is?
Is in the middle of the road.
Right in the middle?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And they keep referring to grease. Is that, are we talking grease, do you know?
So can I talk about that? So Mrs. Robinson had mentioned something on the bottom. So we did originally, the block was grease buildup. The day the plumber did go through that.
Yep.
And you'll notice on the video, there was no grease on the bottom. You see it in there. The grease is on the top. The top of the pipe has the grease on it. When the pipe is full of water and there's grease in there, it sticks to the top.
Right.
So this is the reason why we're here, is because of all the back and forth emails, the back and forth calls. I've put in tons of emails, tons of calls to many people. I feel like we're just not getting anywhere. We've done everything. We've complied to everything that we've been told to do. I feel like we're getting the runaround. We're told to do this, we do it. We clean our pipes, we're told to clean them again. We have Clear Lines, a professional that the county told us to use, telling me, I'll take your money, but I can't get it any cleaner. He cannot get the pressure of the water down the pipes due to the bend. So we're at a loss as homeowners as to what to do next, hence why we're here. Because we built the house, we know that we're not dumping gallons of grease down the drain, but there is grease in the pipe. We're not denying that. We're not denying the fact you can see it on the top of the pipes. There's no grease in the bottom of the pipes.
Solids.
They're solids.
Solids. Could be soap buildup, could be food,
Could be
grease.
toilet paper, could be anything. You're
Well,
never
what is
gonna know that until it's empty.
They haven't determined that it is grease, eh?
No,
Nobody
it's
has.
not determined. Like, if you read the
I haven't read your report.
He says it's a buildup of, since you've lived there, most likely, it's been ongoing, so you have a buildup of soaps. Well, if it sits there, you'll get soap buildup, you'll get food buildup, and grease. We don't dump grease down our drain, but everything you wash and cook has grease in it. So you have everyday grease, but since we don't have that cleaning velocity to get it from our house to the lateral, you're always gonna have that buildup. It's a trap. And you can see, like, I know Lee Robinson said that you could be grease holding it, but if you watch the camera, the water doesn't lie. You see where it lays.
Yes, yes.
And it goes into the water cleanly, it comes out, and you see the clear path of that there's nothing holding that water. You see the water come back in, and it goes
Right.
over top, back into the lateral. So this is the third camera we've had done.
Okay.
And everyone is saying the same thing, that it's...
All right, has it been completely blocked? Is that what happened?
It
How
was
did-
originally blocked. It was originally blocked by what we were told was grease. So once that was broken through, the very first video that we had on our own did show the dip. That's when we contacted the county about the dip being on their property, because knowing that professionals told us the buildup was due to the dip, because it's just low lying, just sitting there. So we're going to constantly get buildup because it's sitting there and stagnant, just.
I realize that,
Yeah.
but I guess my last question is, do you use a lot of grease?
So and that's another thing, is that we can say no, and you need to take us, I guess, at face value. The video doesn't lie. There is grease buildup.
Yeah.
We don't eat bacon every day. We don't dump stuff down our drain. I'm not saying I've never done it. I feel like
Yeah.
we all have. When I cook bacon or cook grease, I dump it in a can, let it harden, and then wipe out the pan. So
It's always a residue.
there's always residue. There's soap buildup. It's everyday life.
Right.
So
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Back to Councillor Black.
So are we asking questions of staff now, or?
No, let's go to the deputation. It's just that I thought we could get some answers before we
Okay,
get...
because I know we don't normally do that. So just on the clear lines, I'm hearing that the pipes need to be totally clear by the county, and I do see in here, looks like JVK's charged $163.85, and they did some clearing, and then Clear Lines actually came in for another $282.50. So, like, you have cleared these lines, have you not?
Yes, and I also have another bill expecting to come from JVK, so that's not all the bills.
Okay. All right, and is this belly, this dip, where exactly is it located? Is it under the road?
It starts 4 feet from basically the curb, be on my, like on my lawn, say, my driveway, and it goes from there to the middle of the road.
So any excavation would mean digging up the road?
Yes, it would be very costly, which is why
Yeah.
we think we get pushback.
Okay, and I think the line, because I've looked at it on the, here, I think the line's on the other side of the road, not your side, but the other side.
Yeah, it's
the
in
north
the
side.
middle of the road, yeah. In the report that you have in there, it was right from the county, and the operators that came out marked everything down.
Okay.
What they found and where it is, where it lays on our property. They did a really good job for us, for sure. And,
Okay.
and they mark it here as a belly in the pipe, too.
Yeah. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Anything further? Yes, Mayor Luke?
Thank you very much, Chairman Columbus, and thank you, folks, being here. And I'm just, as I'm listening, I'm reading through some of your backup material. And, Mr. Chair, clearly I have some questions here. Clearly, Clear Lines, Don Oury has his opinion here on their letter, which is dated February the 15th. But prior to that, there is a letter from David Coley, a professional certified water wastewater operator. What, through the chair, what, Wes, what company or Brooke, which company is he? Is he representing a specific company or?
No, he's actually my boss.
Okay. And Mr. Chair, the other question I have here, and certainly we all saw the video and saw there's some pile up of grease and different debris in the line. Mr. Chair, through you, the information on sewer line belly, is that off the internet?
Yes, so I grabbed I wasn't aware of bellies and just a background
No.
history, so there is
Neither
a
was
little.
I.
Yeah, and and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know if a lot of people did or not, so I did
Yeah.
grab some things and I did put the links on there, just to specify.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, I just curious because when I did have a conversation with Brooke, I guess probably over a month ago or sometime, she mentioned belly, and I thought I better look that up because I had just assumed that a belly in a pipe was a bulge, maybe in any direction, maybe an improper pipe. I don't know. But my question is, in this article, it talks, Mr. Chair, about 3 causes of belly. Number 1, poor planning. Number 2, somebody maybe hasn't checked the proper grade or slope before it was backfilled. Or number 3, improper pipe support. You think you've got proper bed underneath, but you don't, and therefore the weight will push it down but hold it up where there is. My question to you is, have you any idea what would cause this belly to occur? Do you have any thoughts?
So actually, in that, I actually wanted to, while waiting on this, we wanted to get to the bottom of it and kind of research ourselves. So I actually did contact the people who developed our survey.
Yes.
And asked for some input. They were more than willing to help out, more than willing to call me back, get some information and everything. They were debating whether it would still be under warranty. So he was gonna look into that, everything. It was Valley Construction. A week went by, I called them back, because that's how I am, and they were instructed by the county not to talk to me.
Okay. Thank you for that, and I
problem.
wasn't aware of that. And Mr. Chair, to the deputation folks here, Shaws, you are clearly under the impression that if the belly was removed or not there, there would be no more blockage or storm backup. I mean, we all put a little bit of grease in a sink. You just can't get it all. Your thoughts on that? I mean, it seems like there's stuff in this pipe that shouldn't be there.
100%. That's our worry, is that we have 2 small children. We don't want it backing up. It's a brand new house. We have a finished basement. It's already happened once. We don't want it to happen again. That's our worry every day. Like, is it going to be close to the top? And what we've read, who we've talked to, people we've showed the video to, we've showed them to many people. Everybody that we've talked to states that if that belly was not there, these issues would not happen.
And finally, Mr. Chair, through you, Brooke, it was February the 2nd that your basement backed up once, correct?
Yeah, that was the
I
very
mean,
first
that's
time.
enough, but it's just the one time?
That was the very first time, yes.
And you feel there's been no remediation that, in your opinion, that this problem is solved for good? Regardless of who's supposed to do it, I don't know. You know, I'm not at that point yet, so you just feel that you don't want this happening again.
So it backed up. That was the first time. It
Yes.
was, would it not slowly back up? We had JVK out,
It was backing up to the clean out
yeah.
when he was there, and he was able to rot it. So it wasn't, even after he rotted it the first time, it was not great.
So did JVK, did they router it out?
Yes.
Send a
Yeah.
router down?
Yeah.
And it cleared it for the moment?
Cleared it a little, like, to get enough away, and then clear lines came in.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? No? Okay, I need a mover and a seconder to receive the deputation as information. Counselor Wells moves, Mayor Luke seconds it. Those in favor? That is carried. You may be seated, and thank you for providing the details of this issue, and we'll see where it goes. Counselor Brunton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and certainly sympathize with the people that are here today. I have a couple of questions for Lee, if I may.
Yes.
Lee, this certainly, I don't blame your staff for this. I blame the contractor that put the pipe in from the main. My first question is the maintenance period up on that?
Through the chairman to council, it's been assumed by the municipality, yes.
Okay, and what is it top course on driftwood?
Through the chairman to council, I don't recall off the top of my head, but it's sort of irrelevant in this discussion. If it's a significant belly, it needs to be fixed, top course or no top course.
I realize that. I'm not sure how long it's a fairly new area, in my opinion, and I know the area now, but, you know, it's unfortunate. But you video the mains, do you not, before acceptance and not the laterals?
Through the chairman to council, yes, we do video the main, and they look up the laterals to see if there's anything of significance. They don't grow up the laterals, though.
Right.
This is not something that would typically be found during a video inspection. Because you can't see a belly in a perfectly clear pipe, you can't see a belly, you need liquid flowing through it to be able to see the liquid sit at the bottom of it. So even if they'd videoed the lateral the day after it was constructed, we wouldn't be able to see evidence of it until there's actually some flow in the pipe.
Well, we don't know if the house was built after you accepted the survey. There may have been a vacant lot at the time. I don't know when the construction was. He said it was 6 years old, I believe.
The house is almost 6 years old.
Yeah.
Based on the location of the belly, it would appear that the pipe was probably not bedded properly during construction.
Right. Well, I'll wait for if there's any other discussion.
Counselor Oliver.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate all of the information we got from Lee and certainly from the property owners. It seems to me, Mr. Chairman, that the property owners have made a very, very good effort to do what they were told to do, asked to do, told to do, to try and determine the nature of the problem. And I understand Lee's position, but I think at this point, the county should initiate at its expense to have the line cleared and videoed for what will be perhaps a third or even fourth time. I'm not sure whether it was 2 or 3 times that the property owners have done it and paid for it. I would like to suggest that we direct staff that we undertake a clearing, I don't know what you put a suction pipe in, just clear the pipe out long enough to get the whole thing empty and clean so that you can video properly and see exactly where and how significant the dip is or the belly. So that's my suggestion, Mr. Chairman. I don't know whether Lee agrees with it without providing us or without us providing specific direction or whether she feels she needs it. But I think they've done their part. I'm expecting that the dip is on county property, maybe because it was not, as you say, tamped or bedded properly when the pipe was first laid and it's allowed itself to sag. And if there's a spot that's low and water sits there, that's the problem. So that's my position. Maybe Lee wants to react to it
We'll
or
ask for
others.
comment from Ms. Robinson.
Through the chairman to council, respectfully, I would recommend that if staff are being asked to undertake anything, we simply do an excavation. By the time we fully clear out the lines and do all that sort of stuff, we're going to be with some significant money invested in it. In order to get, based on the video that they showed today, if I'm not mistaken, is the video that county staff actually undertook at our cost with respect to that. There's clearly some strong evidence of grease still on the top of the pipe, et cetera. The most cost-effective way of addressing this would be to actually excavate it. When we excavate it, we can find 2 different scenarios, one a belly of significance and one a belly of not significance. At that point, it would be repaired regardless, and that it would be up to the homeowner to decide if they wanted to repair a belly of not significance. We would recommend that it be, once we've excavated, I would just recommend that it be repaired regardless to make sure that they never encounter these problems again. If it is significance, we would have undertaken it all at the county cost anyway. I would not recommend that we do a whole investigation into it at this point. If the homeowners are desirous of undertaking that, and if they truly believe, and I don't doubt their belief, that it is a belly of significance, again, we can't tell from the video because unfortunately when you video it, we can't get slope. However, if we excavate it, we can ensure that they have the minimum slope required no matter what.
Councillor Oliver.
I do understand that, Lee. So even cleaning the pipe and then videoing again, because you suggested to us the video that we just saw, you can't tell because there's water in there whether it's a significant dip or not. But if the pipe was completely sucked clean and then re-videoed, would you still not be able to determine significance at that point?
It's a funny thing. At that point, in order to determine significance, we'd actually have to put water back down in the pipe to have it sit in the belly to see how big for lack of a better phrase, how big the ponding area is.
And that still would be far, like you still would suggest we go ahead and dig it up before? I mean, I'm surprised that you say that's the most cost effective, quite honestly, to dig it up as compared to cleaning the pipe and then re-videoing.
Based on my conversation that I have had with the property owner, my staff's conversation with the property owner, et cetera, I don't believe that the property owners are going to be satisfied until the belly is completely removed. I'm fearful.
Nor should they, quite honestly.
And I'm not, but I'm fearful that we're going to do a video and then we're going to have a huge debate about whether or not it's a significant belly, and all it's going to do is add a whole bunch of time and expense for these homeowners, and it's not going to have the desired result for anybody. We would like it resolved as much as the property owners would like it resolved. We had offered before they came to council that we would excavate it, but if we did decide once we excavated it that it wasn't significant and that it was very minor and that the blockage was actually caused from, for lack of a better phrase, a chunk of, lots of times when they're cleaning the pipes and there's grease on the top of the pipe, when they clean it, the chunk falls down to the bottom of the pipe and it sits there and it blocks everything. So it didn't actually build up there in the first place, it just ended up sitting there. And even in that video, you can see in part of the video where we've pushed a chunk of grease over and it drops into the mainline sewer. So there's still clearly some coming down. I just believe that these homeowners are looking for resolution as quickly as possible with as minimal effect on their living as possible. That is the solution that would provide that for them if that's what they're desirous of achieving.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Brunton, did you have something?
Oh, I didn't want to say it, but I agree with Lee, like, let's get it fixed. And it's really, it's not the county staff's problem. It was done by the contractor when the subdivision was built. And just looking at that video, and I've looked at a lot of videos, there's a substantial dip there that causes that to plug up. And it doesn't matter what you do, it's going to happen again. So I'd make a recommendation that let's fix it and get on with it. It's unfortunate, but let's do it. Thank you.
Councilor Black?
I'm going to second that and just speak to it if you don't mind. And, yeah, I agree with what Councilor Brunton has just said. I mean, the developer, I've even had this happen on my own property where there was a pipe connection and the substrate wasn't compacted and the pipe dipped and it came loose. I think it's the substrate that has not been compacted properly. The pipe is over time dipped and created that belly. I think it's at a cost that it would be a horrendous expense to a single property owner. And I don't think they have not caused this problem. So it needs to be repaired. I have actually spoken to JVK as well. And they feel that the same as what I have just said and what Councillor Brunton has said, and that it is a county responsibility. So I think we need to get on with this, get it resolved, get it fixed, and so these people can get on with their life.
Okay, Councilor Wells?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I will be supporting the motion. I just have one question, just for clarification. If I understand that we do this, it will be done at county cost. Am I correct at that?
Ms. Robinson?
Through the chairman to council, all dips of significance are repaired at the county's cost, provided that they're on county property. There is no dispute in this case. This is on county property, so that everybody is clear. There is no disputing that. Again, we had put forward that offer before that we were happy to excavate it to figure this out. So,
Mayor Luke?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I too will support the action here that's being proposed in the resolution. And these folks, they have tried to get this solved. They have taken the initiative. February the 2nd, they had a problem. They had the plumber in JVK to router it. A few days later, the town was contacted on the 5th. A few days later, on the 9th, JVK, the plumber, was back, videoed. February the 15th, another 6 days, they had Clearline, another company, in to flush it and video it. They've tried to solve this, but through their expense and their actions, they haven't. So let's dig this belly up and let's get rid of it. And then if it's fixed, we guess we know what the problem was. Regardless of whether it was poor installation on county property, poor engineered, poor manufacturing, I don't know. Let's dig it up and have a look. Thank you.
Before the deputy clerk reads the recommendation, I'm going to ask Lee, in a case like this, let's say it backs up again and it floods their basement, are we responsible for the basement flooding, or is it their insurance, or how's that work, Ms. Robinson?
through the chairman to council, I don't think that I can answer that question. That's a
legal question, right?
It is a legal question, but it's beyond all of that sort of stuff. We can certainly do this, but anytime anything goes down so if somebody else has a sewer lateral that doesn't have a dip in it and it's got a significant grease buildup, our sewer bylaw is very clear that that's the responsibility of the property owner.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Clerk, could you read the recommendation?
Through the chair, it's been moved by Councillor Brunton and seconded by Councillor Black that committee direct staff at the county's expense to excavate the sewage line in question as per the deputation.
Okay, understood. Those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you, folks, for coming forward, and hopefully your issue will be addressed. We will now move on to our next deputation. It's a deputation by Mr. Chris Hedges. Chris, if you can come to the podium here, it's with respect to seasonal load restrictions. You can turn the microphone on there, Chris.
Good.
Okay. Chris, you have 10 minutes, and I'll notify you at 9-minute mark.
Perfect. Okay, well, regrettably, I don't have any exciting video to go along with my deputation. I didn't realize that was an option, but that was quite a video. So my name is Chris Hedges, and I operate Hedges Apples. I grow apples only in Norfolk County, in primarily the former township of Delhi, about 250 acres on Wyndham Road 6 and 7, and also Harmony Road. I started growing apples in 1998, and basically through the evolution of our business, I'm building a controlled atmosphere apple storage on what many refer to as Harmony Road or Wyndham Road 12, about a little over a kilometer away from Highway 24. And basically, the benefit of a controlled atmosphere apple storage is that we can ship apples all through the season, so not just September, October, November. We basically put the apples to sleep and then sell them from September right through till the next crop starts in August. So one of the implications that we have is that Wyndham Road 12, where basically the entire former township of Delhi is subject to seasonal load restrictions from March 1st to the end of April. And in my conversations with county, kind of came to learn that it's kind of limited to that former area alone. I'm just going to hand this out if I could. So we've been working on this storage now. We've been respecting the load restrictions on construction and working around it for now. Basically, what I'm requesting at this point is to, and I'm not sure how, in our conversations with the county, it's been discussed that it sounds like the seasonal load restrictions are being reviewed countywide. And in respect to that, I'm not trying to get involved on those conversations. I think the Ag Advisory Board is also looking into that. I'm personally here because I wanted to request my own either exemption from the county or something to allow me to transport fruit in those seasonally load restricted times of year. I had offered to the county to either pay for any kind of study to determine the Harmony Road could handle it, or that I could indemnify the county. Really, I'm trying to do whatever I can to make sure that we're not breaking the law and we're trying to be above board, whereas it seems like probably a lot of people would just go ahead and use the road, which I'm not really comfortable with. I don't want to just be constantly violating the rules. The MTO actually doesn't allow seasonal restrictions for things like dairy farms. So if I was building a dairy farm and the milk truck was coming every day to pick up milk, that's not seasonally restricted. And then poultry farms and grain farms have an increased exemption allowance to 7.5 tons per axle. The seasonal load restriction is 5 tons per axle. And the other option is that I could tow this fruit on a trailer behind a tractor, and that would be exempt. So I could, I mean, this is ridiculous, but I could load the fruit on a trailer, take it down to Premier Equipment, and then reload it onto another tractor. So either way, the weight hits the road. So I guess basically to me that seems counterintuitive as well. So I think basically for information, I just provided that county map of where those restrictions are. From our conversations with staff, it sounds like this is sort of dates back to Township of Delhi, and when Norfolk County became Norfolk County, it looks like this probably wasn't dealt with then. So my request is to achieve an exemption of some sort to allow me to transport the product in seasonal load restrictions in 2019, assuming that this hasn't been dealt with sooner.
Okay. You ready for questions, Councilor Sonnenberg?
Thank you. Thank you for coming forward. You said that some restrictions have been increased from 5 tons per axle to 7.5, and it's become acceptable. What do you need? for your needs?
You know, as soon as I printed off that 7.5, I wondered, I don't think the 7.5 would do it, because we would be using 4 and 5 axle trailers, probably closer to 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, further questions? Yes, Councillor.
Just a comment, our way of life has changed since we built these roads and since we started farming out there. You know, now we have feed trucks and fuel trucks and fertilizer trucks and, I mean, truckloads of chickens and everything is overweight. And how do we carry on business restricting everybody to these old, archaic weight limitations? It's something we got to review.
I guess, Councillor Sonneberg, the ironic part is that there's a lot of roads in former city of Nanticoke that are worse shape than the Township of Delhi, and Township of Delhi had this restriction, and the other municipalities did not. That's the issue here. I know the staff is looking at harmonizing them. Was there another question? No? Yes, Councillor Oliver.
Much, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick one. I'm sure you said it in your presentation, but given the proposed location of the CA storage, worst case scenario for you, you would just need an exemption to go from there to Highway 24?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Which is
so
what, a couple of kilometers max?
1.3.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything further? Ms. Robinson, do you have a comment?
Through the chairman to council, as council is well aware, staff are always working on improvements, et cetera. We identified the half-load restrictions in the odd locations in the county without any sort of rhyme or reason, and it is something that's on our work plan for 2018, and we fully expect to have it implemented for 2019. So probably early January, we'll see the new bylaw come forward. Much like the speed zones and all that sort of stuff, all of that, we're systematically working our way through that. There are a considerable number of roads that currently have half-load restrictions on them that are likely not required to have half-load restrictions on them. Fortunately for us, we have a considerable amount of data now that we're able to use to support our justification for removing the half-load season off of a variety of locations in this municipality. With respect to Councillor Sonnenberg's comment that times have changed and how are we going to adapt, staff are most certainly adapting to this. I would unfortunately like to point out that some of our roads haven't been touched in 20 or 30 years, so they may not be quite up to the standard. Our intention is to also match the half-load seasons with some of our capital programs, so that if we can sort of juggle some of them around to make sure that we can remove as many half-load restrictions as possible. One of the troubles with half-load seasons, not only for the agricultural community, but for everybody requiring heating oil, et cetera, to their houses, they are affected by how much oil can be brought into their houses as well because of the half-load season as well.
Okay, Councillor Sonnenberg?
It's been my experience that the odd truck going down the road occasionally is not going to ruin the road. It's when you get haulers like that are hauling dirt into the gun site or the gun range in Waterford where there's thousands and thousands of trucks. That's when you ruin a road. But the occasional load of apples or a load of grain going down the road is not going to ruin a road. Thank you.
Councillor Black, did I see your hand up?
Yeah, what comes to my mind is when all the sewage trucks came up Sherman to the treatment plant here in Simcoe, and wow, it made a real mess because they were transporting all the sewage from Port Rowan. When we had to do that, it was just coming in all the time, so it did ruin the road. A question for you, to Lee. This is the Harmony Road, isn't it?
Yes,
We're talking
Harmony
about?
Road.
And I don't know if this is around Downing's old place or...
It is.
Yeah, okay. Mike? And I know it's not very far from 24 Highway. I know it's not too many years ago during Norfolk County, I think we did the Harmony Road at some place. What does it need? Like 2 layers of asphalt, or what does it need?
Through the chairman to council, it has actually nothing to do with the driving surface. It has to do with the road base underneath. So anything that you can't see is what is what we use to judge that. But we have enough data at this point, which is why we're undertaking the review for the countywide, because we concur, with the map provided by the deputation, it's clear that we have a very odd assortment of roads that are actually affected by the half-load season. And so staff would like that corrected, as I'm sure most of the members of the agricultural community would also like that, because that would significantly have improvements for their operations as well.
Okay, have you had a chance to look at this section of the road at all?
Through the chairman to council, at this point, we're just starting the countywide review. We're trying not to do road by road in isolation because the 2018 half-load season will be over within the next 3-ish weeks. And 3 to 4 weeks, the half-load season will be over. And so our intention is to have it completed so that it's all changed for 2019.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes, Councillor Oliver.
But I do have another question for the deputation. In light of what you've just heard Ms. Robinson say, are you content, if you like, to wait and see, or do you still feel you're going to sleep better at night if you get a council-approved exemption, if necessary, for that stretch of road?
Yeah, I think that, I think knowing that they were reviewing the roads, I think I was still wanting to make sure that I had my end covered. So I know they're not trying to go road by road and et cetera. I'm just trying to make sure that I can do what I need to do there.
It has implications for you in terms of continuing with this major capital investment on your property.
It is quite major. I didn't want to really delve into that, but yeah.
Yep, thank you.
Yes, I drove by there today and I noticed that your foundations are poured.
Right.
So it's pretty tough paying half-load on a truckload of cement.
Yeah, we spent a lot of money on concrete. We've been bringing that in 3 and 4 meters at a time, so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, anything further? No? Need a mover and a seconder to receive the deputation. Councillor Oliver, and second by Councillor Geisens. Those in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Chris. You may be seated. We'll take some direction here. Councillor Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I certainly appreciated Lee's updating. I'm sorry.
Pardon me? Okay, we've been hearing from staff. Okay, I've got to go to staff first, sorry.
Through the chairman to council, with respect to if council is desirous of granting them exemption, rather than passing a motion today that directs us to do that, we would respectfully request just general direction to staff that if we're unable to bring back something for 2019 with respect to a comprehensive, that we bring back a single one for this one. Then, if not, we're going to have another bylaw on the books that changes the other bylaw, and we go to change everything. It just becomes an administrative nightmare if we have various bits of bylaws all over the municipality. We can certainly take direction. We can track it through our tracking mechanisms to instruct staff that if we don't bring the other one back, that we will bring back the report to give them an exemption for 2019. And that way, it won't be necessary if our staff report comes back, and if not, we will be bringing back one to just give that person an exemption if that's council's desire.
Okay, so it will be direction. Councillor Oliver?
I think, as usual, Mr. Chairman, Lee has given us a solution that's better than what I was going to say. So I think that's a very good approach. And I think that does give Mr. Hedges the reassurance that one way or another, he'll be allowed to transport his product in 2019 and beyond. So I'm fine with that.
Okay. Anything else? Yes, Councillor Black?
Just a few weeks. Does it include that? Or does it matter? I don't know.
I think he's already got his foundations poured, so.
So that's,
Yep, okay. Okay, so there is direction given to staff. That will be an action item, I take it, Mr. CAO, right?
That will be an action item.
Okay. Anything else on this subject? No? Show of hands to make it an action item. Those are all in favor. Thank you. So, Mr. Hedges, thank you for coming forward on behalf of the farm community. Okay. And we'll now move to a deputation by Mr. Brett Scotter, Chair of the Agricultural Advisory Board. He's going to speak on the issue of bunkhouses. Oh, we got Dusty Zamanek here.
Thank
Good
you.
day,
Brett's taking
Dusty.
a nap with the lambs, so I've
You
been
have
subbing in.
10 minutes, Dusty,
All right.
and I will remind you at 1 minute to go. Okay, go for it.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm Dusty Zamanek. I'm here today on behalf of your Ag Advisory Committee. I'm a farmer, plant nurseryman, and attended multiple marketing and horticultural boards, both provincially and nationally as well. With realization of the new age and modern thinking with the times, Farm Credit Canada has recently increased their young farmer loan from $500,000 to $1 million to help accommodate with the level of technology and actual size of scale and land needed to set up and compete in today's market. Now, a young entrepreneurial farmer in Norfolk County has decided to grow a new market, a new crop. It's going to create a new industry and bring economic growth to our county. That farmer is going to need people for this, so we're going to go out and make sure that they have suitable housing in its place. Luckily enough, on the farm that they purchased came with a 6-bedroom farmhouse surrounded by their farmland. Perfect. How many people can we have in those houses? 4 people per house. And why is that? Well, the farmer is told that if there are more than 4 unrelated people in the house, it is no longer considered a single detached dwelling in the building code. So the farmer needs to get housing in place, so they sell the house and are going to build worker housing instead. They're building on their 300-acre farm property. The property currently has their house on top of it and a shop. More money is asked for, and drawings get put together, and a plan is set in place to build a state-of-the-art 30-person housing unit. But there's the holdup. There's provincial policy that states if there is over 10,000 liters a day, which is equitable to 4 in-town homes or a 40-person house, that a building permit cannot be granted until the environmental compliance approval is in place. Upon further research, the farmer realizes that the policy of 10,000 liters a day treats a 1-acre property as the same as a 300-acre property. Also, they have found out that the required studies of the application could take up to 2 years and the cost of at least $30,000. At this point, the farmer finds something better to do or something else to do. No jobs are created and innovation stops. So what has happened here is the rural Ontario and our agriculture industry is falling victim to an urban policy. When restricting 4 unrelated people to a single detached dwelling, it is likely that the policymakers were thinking of keeping 12 students out of a house in a subdivision and the associated issues involved. When requiring an environmental compliance approval for having more than 10,000 liters a day of septic on a property, it is likely that the policymakers were thinking of a self-serviced houses in a subdivision and not a farmer looking to build worker accommodations in the middle of the farm. The current government in Ottawa is making high claims and asks for agricultural sector to increase our current annual exports from $50 billion to $75 billion in 2025. Norfolk is revered as Ontario's garden and known coast to coast for our pioneering in agri-innovations. And because of that, we need your help with keeping the real dirt and farming heard and keeping our county's farmers competitive. We're asking Council today to move forward with the 2 motions presented in the advisory board minutes. Were the minutes passed around or were they received?
They're not part of our package.
Okay.
I know.
So the 2 are, so now keep in mind, this is a provincial policy and we are asking to get with the times and please challenge this provincially. 1, send a letter to the Ministry of Environment requesting that this policy be reviewed to consider parcel size, distance to adjacent parcels, and land use when determining the need for an MOECC environmental compliance approval, MOEC, Ministry of Environment Climate Change, and land use when determining that, and to work with the Agriculture Advisory Board to find a solution that meets the unique needs of agriculture as opposed to residence uses. And 2, assign the CAO with the task of investigating the issue of only 4 unrelated people being allowed to live in a single detached dwelling, the associated policy, and propose solutions to permit the housing of more than 4 unrelated people in a single detached dwelling in a rural area. Thank you.
Okay, questions, Dusty? Questions to Mr. Zamanek? Councilor Brunton?
Just quickly, thanks for your presentation. I suspect you've run into problems with an inspector's come to do the bunkhouse inspection and this thing started? Is that what kick-started it, or?
It's an interesting times right now, from coast to coast and as well as Ontario, with how the audits are coming through. Because there's many options for housing units, but also as farmers are getting bigger, were buying farms and whatnot that have existing homes on them.
Right.
That were otherwise housing families of 6, 7, 8. But now that we are bringing workers, whether it's offshore or from other parts of Canada, now we're subject to different rules and regulations, which aren't technically aren't with the times effectively. So it's trying to keep everything in line.
I guess what I'm saying is you take an old house on a farm.
Correct.
And you say you're restricted to 4 occupants.
Correct.
Okay, but there could have been 8 people